William Samoei Arap Ruto was born on 21st of December 1966 in Sambut village, a small sun-soaked patch of land in Kamagut within Uasin Gishu County, Rift Valley. Sugoi isn't the kind of place that writes headlines. It is rural, quiet, the kind of place where roosters tell time, maize fields stretch far, and children run with dusty feet and wide dreams. But from this soil, this very silence, rose a future president. Ruto's childhood home was modest. Mud walls, iron sheet roof, a compound swept clean with tradition. There were no bodyguards, no briefcases, just family, faith, and farming. In Sugoi, neighbors remember a boy who was quiet but observant, obedient but ambitious, the kind of boy who watched the sky differently, as if dreaming something beyond the maize fields. But in the story of William Ruto, greatness wasn't inherited, it was earned, one humble step at a time. Daniel Kipruto Cheruyot, Ruto's father, was a man of the earth, a small-scale farmer with hands that bore the story of toil. He farmed maize, tended dairy cows, and sold farm products at local markets. He wasn't rich, but he was proud. Proud to put food on the table, proud to raise a son who will one day lead a nation. Daniel was quiet, not one for long speeches, but he taught through action, through showing up every day, even when there wasn't much. Then there was Sarah Cheruyot, Ruto's mother. He was the beating heart of the family, a deeply religious woman, whose mornings began with prayer and whose evenings ended with a hymn. She had never set foot in a university, yet she carried the kind of wisdom that no textbook could teach. It was Sarah who planted in young William Ruto the seeds of faith, strong, unwavering, and unapologetic. Church wasn't a weekend activity, it was a way of life. Through her, William Ruto learned something that politics can never teach: character. It was Sarah who taught him that God lifts those who serve, that you can be poor but never empty, that humility is strength, not weakness. When William Ruto became president in 2022, he didn't begin quoting policy, he began with a prayer. It was a nod to the mother who raised him, not just to speak, but to kneel. Their home wasn't lavish, but it was rich in values, in work ethic, and in vision. In 2008, Daniel Cheruyot passed away, quietly, without a title. But what he left behind was more powerful than office. He left behind a legacy, now written across Kenyan history. And Sarah, he lives on, still praying, still singing, still watching her son walk the path that she helped prepare. Not with gold, but with grit. Ruto is the second of 6 children born to Daniel and Sarah Cheruyot. His older brother, Paul Mauritim Cheruyot, is known for his farming and quiet personality. Then there is Samuel Cheruyot, Susan Samoei Ruto, Harrison Kipto Ruto, and David Ruto. Harrison, one of his younger brothers, passed away in 2016. His funeral was modest, as is typical of the Cheruyot family, and attended by close family and neighbors, but not turned into a political affair. That is how the Ruto's prefer it. You will not find these siblings giving interviews on TV. They do not accompany the president to rallies. They are not members of parliament or political operatives. They do not wear power. They carry privacy. Instead, they are teachers, farmers, business people, community members, people who wake up early and go to sleep without trending online, but they don't mistake their silence for irrelevance. David Ruto, for instance, has occasionally made public appearances at family events, a reminder that the bond remains strong even if the spotlight is undesired. In a country where political families often operate like dynasties, from the Kenyatas to Odingas, Ruto's siblings offer a contrast. They remind us that not every relative wants the mic, some prefer the plow. By now, every Kenyan has heard the line, "I sold chickens by the roadside, and today I am your president." But those weren't just words, they were memories, lived and real. In the dusty lanes of Kamagut, a young William Ruto would rise before dawn. While most children his age were still half asleep, he was already feeding his birds, tending to the small chicken behind their modest house. He would then walk several kilometers to a roadside market, holding a worn-out tray filled with boiled eggs and live chicken. He didn't shout, he didn't beg, he waited patiently for customers. Those who bought knew him as quiet, polite and serious, too serious for a child. This was his first business, his first economy, and it taught him things no economics class ever could. He learned the value of waiting, of bargaining, of rejection, of counting coins one by one, knowing what every shilling meant to a household. It wasn't glamorous, but it was real, and it planted in him the seeds of what he would later call the hustler spirit. Years later, when he ran for president, many mocked his hustler narrative. But for those who knew the boy on the roadside, the one with dust on his shoes and eggs in his basket, the story wasn't political, it was personal. Ruto began schooling at Kamagut Primary School, a local school where cracked chalkboards and overcrowded classrooms were the norm. Yet, he thrived. He was a focused child, not the loudest, but often the most determined. After primary school, he moved to Wareng Secondary School and later joined the prestigious Kapsabet Boys High School, now surrounded by sons of chiefs, businessmen, and bureaucrats. In 1987, he was admitted to the University of Nairobi to pursue a degree in botany and zoology. Ruto met his wife Rachel Chebet in the late 1980s during a Christian Union outreach event. Rachel, elegant and composed, was pursuing her studies at Kenyatta University. Their bond wasn't flashy, it was faithful. They connected over prayer, scripture, and shared vision of service. They courted for some time, and in 1991, they were married in a modest church wedding. No limousines, no cameras, just two believers making a vow. Rachel began her life as a high school teacher. She later left formal teaching to support her growing family and her husband's rising political ambitions. Through every election, every scandal, every loss, and every win, she remained steady. She raised the children with focus on discipline and education. She fasted when the family needed breakthrough. She celebrated, yes, but also interceded. Behind the title and security detail, they remain first and foremost a family. Let's meet the children of the 5th President of the Republic of Kenya, all 7 of them. We have Charlene Chelagat Ruto, often called the first daughter. Charlene was born in 1993. She studied mass communication at Daystar University and later pursued a master's degree in business administration abroad. She came into the public eye after her father's presidency, frequently appearing at public events, student forums, and Pan-African business summits. Charlene is a confident speaker and a modern face of youth engagement. She once went viral for referring to her father's office of the first daughter, drawing both satire and admiration. But behind the headline is a young woman navigating legacy while carving her own path. And then we have Nick Ruto, the eldest son. Nick is a qualified lawyer. He was admitted to the bar in 2019 in a modest ceremony attended by family and friends. And then we have June Ruto, a diplomat by profession. We also have Stephanie Chepchumba Ruto. Stephanie is one of the more private daughters. We also have George Ruto, Abby Cherop Ruto, and Nadia Cherono. Nadia was abandoned as a baby in a forest in Eldoret, buried alive, and rescued just in time. When William Ruto heard her story, he was deeply moved. He visited the hospital, held her in his arms, and adopted her as his own. Today, Nadia lives as one of Ruto's children, a living symbol of second chances, compassion, and faith. William Ruto may be the president of a nation, but at home, he is a father, a husband, and a son. And in that private world, far from parliament and press conferences, his true identity is revealed.